Hey everyone, welcome back to All Things Crafty. I'm Melissa, and if you love all things crafty, all things Dollar Tree, and all things on a budget, then you've definitely come to the right place. If you're new and stopping by for the first time, I would love it if you become part of this family by clicking that subscribe button and then tapping the bell and all to be notified every single time I upload. So without further ado, let's get into the DIY.
I want to be daring, baby, dance the night away. I let my head down if I want. Don't you just get tired chasing?
Okay guys, so to start off, I got these 3 canisters from Dollar Tree. They are the shorter, smaller ones, and I just take the stickers off. I then take my Goo Gone, and I just put a little bit on a paper towel, and a little bit goes a long way. And I also take the lids off and just set those aside. I then do that with the next 2, and I also take the lids off. We don't need the lids. You can put them aside for a different project. It's totally up to you. But I also wanted to mention too that you could make a longer word. You would just need more canisters. So I printed these free printables off. I at first was going to do that deer, but I decided that I wanted to do a windmill. I love windmills. Everybody loves windmills, so I thought it would be a really cool idea. I chose the word joy because I want to have it out for Christmas, but you can choose whatever saying that you like. I also just typed up a J and a Y, and I'll leave all the information in the description box. So I just cut these down, and that way I can tape them on my canisters because that's what I'm going to use as my template to be able to cut these out and have it nice and even and straight. So I just take some Scotch tape. Now the Scotch tape doesn't hold very well, but it does good enough to where you can cut your letters off. So I just tape it on the top and the bottom and the 2 sides, and then I make sure that it's right in the middle and right where I want it. Now I am going to mention that I wish I had put these up a bit higher just because you can see the tea lights through them, but in my opinion it's not a really big deal. I don't really care, but again, it's your preference. So here I have a wood burning kit. Now, this gave me some issues. I had to pierce it with my knife first and then go in and let it do its job. If you have one of these, I would suggest just to let the wood burning tool do all the work for you. I think I was trying to put too much pressure on it, so it made the edges pretty jagged, but to be honest, you don't need this tool. I ended up going to my kitchen and taking my utility knife right there in frame, and I just turned my stove on and left it go. And every time that I wanted to make a cut, I would just put my knife in the fire. I know, guys, fire, but I mean, this is really easy to do if you're very careful. So if you do this, just be really careful. I did the Y this way, and I wish I had done it like this to begin with. But anyway, you just let it over the fire and get it really hot, and then you just take your knife, let the knife do the work, and you just outline your letters and whatever you're going to do for your O. So here I'm using a lighter. The lighter just wasn't strong enough, I guess. So this is where I stop and I go in my kitchen and I use the stove. I'm telling you guys, it's a world of difference. This took me a bit to figure out. This is my first time doing anything like this. So I do trial and error so that you guys know the best way to do it. I show you my mistakes because nothing is ever perfect. If any crafter tells you that it is, they're lying. But anyway, So again, I went to my stove, I heated it up, I did a little bit at a time. You can tell when your knife is getting cool because it doesn't cut as well. If your knife is hot enough, it cuts through this plastic like butter. So I suggest just to use your stove and a utility knife. So here, like I said, the edges were pretty jagged with the windmill and the J, but my Y was actually pretty good, and that's when I was using the stove. So I just take some 80 grit sandpaper. I have this little handheld sander. I love this little thing. It lets you get in little spaces, and it has a nice handle. Sometimes when I'm working with just a sheet of sandpaper, it's kind of hard, especially with my nails. So when I can use this little tool, I really love it, and I definitely recommend it. You can find them at Walmart for pretty inexpensive. So after I sand them down, I use my hammered Rust-Oleum spray paint, and that handle makes a world of difference. Next, if you guys have been around for some time, you know that I love to galvanize, and that's what we're doing again today. So after all my canisters had dried, I just take elephant in my Waverly chalk paint, and basically all you're doing with this elephant is you're just dulling that silver down, because galvanized metal is not shiny. It's kind of dull. So that's what this is going to do. So I just have a natural sponge, and I just get some paint on my sponge, and I just randomly dab. You can see what I'm doing here, but it really makes it look great. I love this effect, and it really makes it look like galvanized metal for really cheap price. So I just do the top edges, I do the whole canister, and then I go in where that neck is, and I get that the part where the lid screws on, I wouldn't worry about because we're going to cover that up. So I just focused on the neck and not the actual like part where you screw it on. So after I get done with my elephant, I take white in the Waverly chalk paint, and the white you don't want to do as much as the gray. You just want to do this pretty light, and here I went a little bit crazy, and I do it every time. But all you have to do is go back in with your elephant if you feel like you went a little crazy, and you just kind of cover that white up. And I really like when I go back in with the elephant because it really pulls it all together. So I definitely suggest to go lighter at first with the white, and then you can always go heavier if you want. Like I said, again, I always go a little bit crazy. I know I'm going to go crazy, so it's not a really big deal to me. But you just want to do the same thing as you did with the gray and go around every single canister. I did not worry about the bottom because it's going to be sitting down. So next, I'm going to take my ink and my Waverly chalk paint, and I just get a bit on the end of my brush, and I just kind of focus on the edges because I want those edges to really stand out. And I've done this with my other projects too. I really like the effect that it gives it. So here I'm showing you guys, I dip into my paint, and I get it not real heavy, but a good bit on the end of my brush. And I just dab those edges that were cut, just so that way they don't show through. So here I am taking jute cord. I got this at Walmart. It's the thicker cord than they usually have at Dollar Tree. If you have one of those nice new craft aisles at Dollar Tree, I'm pretty sure they are selling pretty thick jute right now in the Crafter Square aisle, but I have never seen any. My Dollar Tree hasn't gotten that aisle yet. I am patiently waiting. But I've had this roll of jute for a long time from Walmart, So I always just use what I have. So I just go around the neck of these canisters and I just repeat this for all three. And I just glue every so often. I especially glue on the parts where those lines are that make the lid tight. I don't know what you want to call it, but you can see what I'm doing here. Just because they want to slide up or down, and I didn't want any of that to show through. So next, I'm just snipping off the edges of my windmill in the middle. They were kind of long. I couldn't get the picture exactly right just because where the middle was so small. So I just did straight lines and then cut the circle out. So I just made a circle with my jute cord and I just stick that right in the middle just to make the windmill look more realistic. Last but not least, we're going to take some nautical rope and just make handles for these. I wanted them to look kind of like jugs, or I don't know, but I thought that this brought it all together and made them look really nice. So I just cut a piece. I measured it first to make sure how long I wanted it, and then I just glued it, and I repeated that for all three. Then I'm going to take a lighter again. I know we're playing with a lot of fire here, but trust me, it's worth it. And I just run it across to burn down all those hanging pieces. I can't stand them. And now I just take my tea light candles. These are flameless. Honestly, you could probably put a regular tea light in this just because this plastic is so thick, but I didn't want to chance it, and this is how it turned out. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want to see from me in the future. I would love to hear your suggestions. Thank you to all my new subscribers, all my old subscribers. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.
Fame and being pretty all the time doesn't sound like fun.